So introverted feeling, what is it? FI, or introverted feeling, takes time to form emotional attachments, but when they do, they are very deep. They're all about, FI users are all about figuring out who they are and what they want. They try to make good, bad decisions, not true, false decisions. So it's based on their internal feeling or their own internal values. So am I good or bad? Not is this true or false? Because extroverted thinking is all about beliefs and rationale. So FI understands their own morality and perhaps their own values better than FE users, but that would be really a higher introverted feeler would understand their own values, and Gemini and Taurus has to kind of really work on that throughout their life because it is an inferior function. The FI users make decisions based on their own internal world rather than what's going on with the group. FI needs space and time to process or go deep into their own internal world. With TE, they do tend to make decisions faster than high TI users. So Geminis are kind of like Cancers in the fact that they can be extremely extroverted, but then they will have to take time to reflect and be by themselves to really sort out their thoughts and feelings. FETI, they base their decisions on the group's emotions and values. They take time with their internal thinking, and they're slower to make thinking decisions. But FITI, which is Gemini and Taurus, they take a lot more time with processing their internal world, but they make quicker, rational decisions. So empathy can go across the board between FE and FI users. We are now in the feeling realm, not the thinking realm, so we're talking about empathy and sympathy. High FI users can put themselves in others' shoes. FE will connect with the emotional experiences others have in that specific moment in time. It could perhaps not be as deep as FI users, healthy FI users, but FE will adapt to help. FI users tend to deeply experience the emotional realm, but so do high FE users. FE looks better at social interactions, when in reality, FI, it's all about the FI. It's an introverted cognitive function, so introversion is the source function, extroversion is what goes to the source function. So FI users are really like dominant in choosing their role in a conversation or a social situation. So they really do control the social dynamics of our society, really. They tend to not have as many issues with boundaries like extroverted feelers due to being solid in their own container, so to speak. FE users tend to not know how they themselves personally feel. If you ask me how I feel, I'm like, I don't know. Then I kind of like deflect and flip it back on them and talk about someone else because I really don't know. And I really am not caring about that. I'm more caring about how other people are feeling. And so either way, we can be swayed within our thinking or feeling realms. If one is a thinker, they're weak in understanding their own emotions to many degrees. If one is a feeler, they tend to be weaker in their thinking. One of our greatest goals in life is to understand these realms within ourselves and try to balance them as much as possible. So understanding these things helps with ourselves as well as our social dynamics. Introverted feeling evaluates and refines personal tastes, values, and feelings. It champions individuality, emphasizing and defending the unique qualities of the individual. So it is so important. FI is all about the individual. FE is about the group. So it shows, FI shows concern for life's underdogs, children, animals, and elderly. I feel this is good or bad, and that's your truth. FI wants to feel the status. It really feels it, and it feels good, and it's not based on truth but belief. So they tend to distance themselves from external things and focuses more on the self. Tend to trust credentials more than looking at the data, the outside flashy details, not the internal small details that aren't as exciting. So that is a very, as we are seeing now in our world today, the scientific method, people push mandates onto a huge group of people, and they look at the statistics rather than understanding, oh, hey, there's individuals out there that this isn't good for, but I'm just going to push this because this is what I believe. And you should believe it too. So that's like a huge example, a good example. The top-down functioning, ETJs work to improve structure, systems, TE that indirectly leads to the realization of personal emotions or values. So we do want to try to work top-down, TE, NI, SE, and then FI. So inferior introverted feeling, the quotation here is, I'm fearful with what I feel. Ecdemon is I'm demonic with what others feel. So when our insecurities are tripped, we are in the inferior function, and we can tend to, this is where our nuclear power button is. We tend to explode, we tend to just be totally out of our character. And so with Geminis, with Geminis, they are normally fearful with what they feel. They're very worried about, am I a good or bad person? But when their inferior is triggered, they go into their demon mode, and they are full-blown, I'm demonic with what others feel. So they don't give a crap about your feelings. They will just stab you with their tongue, normally, is how that works out. They will hit you where it hurts emotionally, and they just do not, they will go about their life and actions like you don't matter at all. They will even tell you do not matter. I do not care. Do not care at all. So yeah, that's the funny thing. The inferior can be very difficult for us to control it. We will become, the Geminis will become introverted and depressed. Emotions are very uncomfortable. It's hard for them to align with their values. We think we should be good at this, but we know we are not. Their range of emotions are not exactly on a full spectrum as, say, like a high FE or high FI user. So the FI inferior just kind of means that they are not in tune with the emotional world as much as other people, internally or externally. So we are saying that their range of emotions are not exactly nuanced, come out as anger issues, blow-ups, extremes back and forth, high happiness, and then super upset. Can show love by criticizing other people. They like to give backhanded compliments, so that's kind of escaping emotions. I'm going to compliment you by backhanding you. I don't know. Let me improve you. You could do this better. That's kind of how they love other people. The TEFI, they're more about a collective standardized approach to things with non-human systems and an individualized approach to people along with their own feelings and values. TIFE has a collective approach to people. How do you feel about this? Equalizing roles with a more individualized subjective use of reason. So it's the group and thinking, and it's the individual and feeling. And then with TIFE, which is the opposite, it is my thinking versus the group's feelings. So that is how they are prioritizing their actions. Despite our confidence and imposing presence, they are on the whole no more inwardly secure of themselves than any other type. So Geminis or ENTJs tend to be the most masculine type, so they always have to act like a hard ass. I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm just going to get shit done. I'm going to go through this task list. Look at me, I'm doing so much shit. And they totally turn off their feeling, and it makes them look very confident. They have a lot of money, they have credentials, they have this and that. But internally, they're freaking void and depressed and unhappy and insecure and probably lonely. So they put on a hard shell. They have a hard shell, but they have a very soft internal world. Because their inner judging function is FI, which is in the inferior, they may feel like they have relatively little inner control. So they feel inwardly chaotic, but outwardly they look organized. Finding inner control elusive, they naturally turn their focus outwardly, hoping that achieving outer order and control will bring them inner calm and security, which is true. I'm not going to lie about that. They do not enjoy the same luxury of inner control as high FI users, Geminis and Taurus. To compensate, they spend much of their time vigorously working to control the outside world. ENTJs and ESTJs are prone to a sense of urgency when it comes to finishing tasks or making decisions. Like, it's unreal, I'll tell you that right now. Like, I have a Capricorn or ISTJ subconscious, so that's my moon sign. It's what makes me happy. I'm very organized. I have TE, I think I have TE parent there, so it's not as like autopilot as the Gemini hero, TE hero. It's not like autopilot, this is my go, 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 go. I'm more of like, I'm responsible for this, I need to do it. It's like a constant, I need to. Their concern for being productive can prevent them from absorbing or appreciating life in general. They may take their lives as well as themselves too seriously. I can say yes, definitely, most certainly. It pushes people away for sure. While they are naturally disciplined and thorough, this can mutate into obsessiveness or compulsiveness if they aren't careful. And this is so true, especially with their cleaning in their home. Proper FI desires personal freedom to pursue inner harmony and is comfortable with seeing oneself as not bound by external rules. It's okay to be an individual. So they tend to not check in with the group at work, for example, and that can definitely be an issue. They definitely need their personal freedom.